Shri vi-śuddha shakti Devi skanda-mātre namaha. Shri vi-śuddha shakti Devi skanda-mātre namaha. Shri vi-śuddha shakti Devi skanda-mātre namaha. Jai Hind, folks. It's the 5th night of Nava-rātri 2021. Warm welcome to all of you. Namaskaram. Today, we are transforming ourselves into skanda-mātā. Though the mantra mentions Aum Devi skanda-mātre namaha, the name of the Devi is skanda-mātā. It's for the grammar purposes that we use skanda-mātre. And we become skanda-mātā, or the Mata of Skanda, is something which is valuable, which is being delivered for free with grace, is Skanda. Like the semen of Shiva, free falling into the waiting hands of Agni and Swaha, and to be transported to the constellation of Kritika, the Pleiades, and eventually to be groomed by skanda-mātā, who has surrendered all of her weapons from the previous evolutionary stages and is now having only 4 hands. And this state will continue for the remaining avatars that we take in the remaining 4 nights as well. 4 nights have passed and 4 nights remain. This is the 5th night, which is right in the middle of this 9-night Nava-rātri midnight rendezvous. So this is a very, very critical stage. It's not only the middle of all of the 9 nights in terms of 4 before it and 4 after it, but also in terms of the sattvic quality chakras. Chara kriyati iti chakra. That which makes us move is a chakra. That which is making us move or evolve into more refined forms of what we are, that is chakra. And there are 3 sattvic chakras, as I've told you. The anahata chakra at the bottom of the rib cage, and the vi-śuddhi chakra at the pit of the throat, and the ajna chakra in between the eyebrows, as far as the conformal mapping to the physical body is concerned. But in reality, all of these are in the subtle body, where there is no rib cage, where there is no throat, where there is no eyebrows to be talking about. So more specifically, it's in the subtle nerve junctions or junction boxes, if you will, where the energy transfers and, more importantly, energy transformations take place. And that's precisely what we are focused on. So out of the 3 sattvic chakras also, this happens to be the middle one. We started off the sattvic nature with the Chinmaya Mudra in the Anahata chakra last night, and tonight we are getting into the vi-śuddhi chakra again with the Chinmaya Mudra, and we'll continue with the Chinmaya Mudra at the Ajna chakra as well, because all these 3 are associated with sattva. So it's the middle of all the 9 chakras, and it is the middle of the Nava-rātri as Panchami, and it's the middle of the sattvic nature. So it's tremendous. And you can also see it's the middle point between even our physical head and the torso. So the neck is so very important. Murderers know that. People who commit suicide by hanging on the fan know that. It's so very significant, this entire neck region, and in particular the thyroid gland and the throat, which makes the sounds, because what we have left over here is just the sense of hearing or sounds. Because when we want to move from the anahata to the vi-śuddhi chakra, when we want to evolve ourselves from being Kushmanda last night to becoming skanda-mātā tonight, we have to give up the sense of touch as well. Touch was dominant over here with the prana taking the lead, and now even the prana is slowly dropping off. Already we dropped the body at the Muladhara when we wanted to go from the Muladhara to the Swadhisthana. We dropped the mind when we wanted to go from the Swadhisthana to the Manipura. We dropped the intellect when we wanted to move from the Manipura to the Anahata. And now when we are moving from the Anahata to the vi-śuddhi chakra, we are dropping off the prana also. To some extent, it is separated from the Brahman that we are. I am Atma Brahma. But we have not yet realized that. We know that intellectually. But still, the intellect plays a very, very critical role over here. Being the last one to have been dropped, it has some semblance of itself, and that's why this chakra is analogous to Virgo or Kanya Rashi and Mithuna Rashi, which is Gemini, both ruled by Mercury, the mercurial intellectual, not only owned by Mercury, but also a location where Mercury is exalted in the Kanya Rashi or Virgo, and also it is the place where Mercury or our intellect has its Mula Trikona, another point of strength. So this is completely dominated both in terms of ownerships as well as strengths, exaltations, and Mula Trikona. Everything by Mercury, 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 intellect, intellect, intellect. The place of Saraswati, knowledge, wisdom. Brahma, creativity, communication. Vani, the voice, the ability to sing, the ability to please others with the sound, because all that we have left is sound, sound, and sound alone. And tomorrow night we have to surrender that as well. So let's enjoy the last of our senses in what we have been doing. By saying dropping, we are actually withdrawing them. Not that they are not with us anymore, but we know that they are of very little use in this inner path and they are more of distractions. So we dropped off smell, we dropped off taste, we dropped off sight, we dropped off touch, and now we are left only with hearing the sounds. And that's the reason why you'll see the videos now which peaked over here and here will start dropping in duration also from here, because there's no words to convey these things. It's actually a much more silent experience. But today we can freak out because sound, sound, sound is what alone remains here amongst the senses. In the pratyahara that we have done, the withdrawal of the senses, we have already withdrawn 4 senses. We have already mastered 4 of the 5 Panchamahabhutas, which are what you call as earth, the solids, the water, which is the liquids, fire, which are the energies, and air, which are the gases, and we are left only with space. Space and time, but time will still remain when we go over here as the source of space. And this is the beauty of Sanatana Dharma, where we have realized that space and time are one and the same. But if you have to give prominence to one of them, it is time, which is the cause of space. In other words, this field of space, the three-dimensional space, for example, that we see around us, is caused by time, kala. And it's not even Mahakala, Shiva at the Sahasrara, but Kala itself, like Yama. Though Yama Dharmaraja is more comfortable at the Manipura chakra of Dharma, this is also a location where Kala operates in the form of Mrityu, Yama, etc. Because we've given up all the senses by the time we go there. But that's the story for tomorrow night. Let's focus tonight on skanda-mātā. Skanda-mātā, skanda, as I said, is something valuable that is falling for free, like grace, like air that we breathe, like life itself, all given to us on a platter, but based on our own karmic structure, what kind of actions, thoughts, and words we have delivered out of our free will in the past. That has become our karma or destiny today. That has become our initial condition right now, which we have to accept. There's no other go. All that there is right now is the way it is. It cannot be in any other way. This moment is inevitable. To be in the present moment is not even an option. It's the only possibility. To accept the present moment as it is also not an option. But to do so joyfully or grudgingly, consciously or compulsively, these are all options. So I choose to be in the present moment consciously with full awareness, not accidentally or habitually or unconsciously. And I choose to accept the present moment as it is also, not in a way that I'm sad about it or angry about it or frustrated about it. But joyfully I accept the present moment as it is, because it is created by me, by my own past actions out of free will, by my own past words out of free will, by my own thoughts out of free will in the past of this life and the previous lives as well. So this is the initial condition. From here, where I take it, whether I go back downwards or stay here itself in this awesome place or go up further in the evolutionary ladder of spirituality, it's all up to me. It's a landmark, it's a milestone. It's, as I said, right in the middle of our spiritual journey. Of course, if you take into account the tamasic chakras below the Muladhara, then we have traversed a much longer way, not just 50%. But to come here, from the time we decided spirituality is the only path, transforming ourselves from Shailaputri to Brahmacharini, from that stage we have reached 50%, and we can see through what all we have evolved from being Shailaputri, from being Brahmacharini, from being Chandraghanta, to being Kushmanda, to now we have become skanda-mātā. We have delivered the fetus within us, the Brahmanda that we had within us as Kushmanda, little tiny, but with warmth. And that anda that we have now delivered as skanda. And we have become a mother to it, skanda-mātā. That skanda has gone through all the other things that I mentioned. In addition, gone through Ganga as well. That purification has happened. And now skanda-mātā has only 4 hands. The number of hands were 2, then became 10 with, it peaked with the navel chakra, that is at the Manipura. As Chandraghanta, she had 10. That was the maximum, because rajas, action. Then action was dropped in lieu of purity, sattva, like a cucumber, as I said. So from 10 hands, she dropped down to 8 hands with Kushmanda. Now from 8, she halves that with just 4. And none of those 4 hold weapons anymore. No more wars. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, all conquered. All the internal enemies conquered. So no more war to wage. But we have given birth out of our creativity to the universe. And that was sustained over here. The egg was sustained with the warmth, the little warmth that we could give. It was sustained in the Anahata. And now the creativity time has come of Saraswati Brahma, of the ability to give birth and to nurture and nourish in a caretaking way as a trustee, rather than out of ego or ahamkara that we have created this child. No, it is delivered to us as skanda, as free, out of grace of our own nothingness, Shiva. And that we recognize, and then we put it into practice. So the fact that I, as skanda-mātā, as the mother of the entire universe, do not hold any weapons, doesn't mean the weapons are gone. The weapons are now in the hands of the skanda baby that we have, the 12 hands that he has, along with the 6 phases and 3 eyes on each one of them, absolute perception, and therefore the ability to utilize those weapons appropriately. The veil is still not given. It will be given once we go to the Agnya Chakra and become something else other than skanda-mātā, more evolved form and spiritual sense. And then Skanda, from here, he will go down to the Swadhisthana and take charge. And the Mata, skanda-mātā, will go from here, and from this Agnya Chakra tomorrow night, she will deliver the veil. But the skanda-mātā story itself is very important. As the Tarakasura that we have, even after eliminating k squared lm cube, that is kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, the little happinesses of pleasures of kama, the obstructions to that happiness in the form of anger, the greed for this or that, then the attachment to whatever we are in liking with, and then the arrogance, and then the jealousy. All of these have been conquered. But then what are these weapons required for? We have to still retain in a stable platform the sattva that exists. And you see the number of phases over here. Ignore the many phases except the 6 that you see on the top. And these 6 are the skanda phases, just replicas of our own nothingness, because it's formed out of a drop of semen of Shiva and 5 sparks from his third eyes as a Panchamukha Sadhashiva, and all of those are integrated into this, which essentially is in a reversed fashion, as I said, the Brahmanda, which is within Kushmanda, instead of being an egg, became an active seed, and that is what resulted in Skanda in his nurturing over here. So what about the 4 hands of skanda-mātā? With one, she holds the Abhaya Mudra, don't be scared. With one, she holds the little baby Skanda in her arms. And with the other 2 rare hands, she has now, instead of one lotus which she used to hold right from the time she was Brahmacharini, Chandraghanta and Kushmanda, that lotus continues. But with the other hand also she holds one more lotus. So 2 lotuses in the 2 rare hands, showing dispassion not only to the past but dispassion to the future. That is, we use our memory as if it were our cloth, not part of our body. And similarly, we use our imagination also as a cloth, not as a part of our body. So getting a distance out from the past memories and the future imaginations, and therefore living only in the present. And that's what is the beauty of the two lotuses in the two rare hands of Skanda-mātā. Books, scriptures, and gurus and rishis and teachers of the religious nature, many of them would not even tell you all these secrets. These are secrets that we have to experience through our own meditative state, not during a particular sadhana, but as a 24/7, 365 or 366 days of every year throughout life, we can be in that state where we recognize these aspects of ourself. And that is what I am so delighted to be sharing with you, the inner experiences. And this cannot be directly transferred to you. You have to work towards it as a sadhana and traverse through this journey. My videos are meant to be mere inspirations. If I can do it with all my limitations, you obviously can do it. You're far more endowed with probably age on your side, with probably much more intellect than me, with probably much more emotional stability than me, with much more physical strength than me, with much more pranic abilities than me. You can definitely do that. This inner journey is something that every one of us can easily accomplish. So I urge you not to waste even a single moment. The moment you see this video, get on to your spiritual sadhana, wherever you are. I don't know, because so many of you are seeing this video. I don't know which particular location you are at. You know it yourself. You know yourself best. So from that location, work yourself through the spiritual ladder of the Sushumna Nadi by raising your kundalini Shakti one level to the other, transforming yourself first into skanda-mātā if you have not already crossed that level. But if you have not, then you have to probably start from your tamasic gunas and become, first of all, Shailaputri. Then you have to become Brahmacharini. Then you have to become Chandraganta. Then you have to become Kushmanda. And then you become Skanda-mātā. And we will see what else you need to become tomorrow night. But here is where we are. And that Tarakasura represents, in spite of having transcended our tamas and rajas and gotten into the middle of sattva, still there is a danger of instability. And that instability is represented by Tarakasura. And we can conquer that only through what we create than by ourselves. And that's what Skanda-mātā has done. Right from the stage, she was Kushmanda. Now she has become Skanda-mātā by delivering a Skanda who can handle that Taraka, who can handle that instability as well. So for our further ascension, we need much more stability. As you know, when we are climbing peaks after peaks, probably the tallest peak, Mount Everest, is what we are interested in, the Guru Gayatri Chakra, eventually where we want to reach. And to be able to do that, we need even more greater capabilities that we need to build out of our creative nature. And that's where Skanda plays a role. That's where Skanda-mātā plays a role. And she is endowing those weapons that she used to use with Skanda, so that he goes back to the Swadhisthana and guards, just like she had made Ganesha to guard all the tamasic gunas from entering. Now she has made Skanda to guard all the rajasic gunas from re-entering. See, sometimes when we empty out things into a garbage, it might spill over the garbage. We have to completely ensure that the garbage is out of sight and out of our purview in all senses, all perceptions. It is completely eliminated. And that's how two kinds, these days we know segregation of garbage of different kinds, right? So it is a compulsory thing. Very warm welcome to that, which people are adapting with a knowledge of why we are doing it. Now, similarly, the garbage that we have left includes the tamas or lethargy and the rajas in its negative form of aggression. So all of that needs to be kept aside, and that's where Ganesha and Skanda play a critical role. Of course, there is Ayyappa as well, maintaining the dharma at the Manipura, the borderline Rajas, before we entered Sattva at the Anahata. And now we are at the second stage of Sattva over here. From our purity, from our nurturing nature, we have now become a mother of the entire universe. Yadevi sarvabhuteshu matrurupena samstita namastasyai 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 namo namaha. I am a mother to the entire universe, not only from the obvious fact that I am loving, sharing, caring, and compassionate, but even more so from the basic root fact, causal fact, that I am the one who's creating my own universe every moment and recreating it every other moment. And therefore, I will ensure that with this attitude towards the entire universe, I will progress further in my inner journey or the spiritual path. And that's why the vi-śuddhi chakra, vishesha-śuddhi, vishesha special, and shuddhi, the purity. Already we got into purity here at the Anahata with the unstruck sound, as we called it. Most sounds are struck, whereas the Vedas are the unstruck sound. And then we have come over here to a special purity, more special than the purity that we already had at the Anahata, where we were just doing sustenance, maintenance, preservation. But here we are becoming creative with communication, and we require a special kind of purity, and therefore we are vibrating at a higher level of energy, which is called as the vi-śuddhi of special purity, the place of not only skanda-mātā but of Saraswati and Brahma. Brahma, the very epitome of creativity, and Saraswati, the energy of that creativity. So we are Brahma, we are Saraswati. Aum prano devi Saraswati vajebir vajinivati dhinam vitrevatu ya kundendu tushara hara dhavala ya shubhra vastranvita ya veena varadanda manditakara ya shweta padmasana ya brahma chuta shankara prabhrati devai sada vandita samam patu Saraswati bhagavati nishesha janyapaha Saraswati namastubhyam varade kamarupini vidyarambam karishyami siddhir bhavatu me sada aum brahmapatnyai cha vidmahe Saraswati